Hi, everyone. Welcome into Primetime TV Show. I'm Barbara Marville Kelly, and with me is my wonderful husband and best friend, Dennis Kelly. And we're back once again.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming. It's great to be with you guys. And of course, it's always a special day when we can help give back to everyone and we can bring professionals on that can also share with you to live the best quality life ever. I know we've been faced with a lot of challenges for the last 10 months and all, but there are things that we can all do if we're a growth-seeking individual and we want to make some changes in our lives. We're all about simplicity, aren't we?
Absolutely.
And so with that being said, I want to introduce two of our guests that are backed by popular demand, and they're going to be continually regular guests so that we can give you the best of the best. So I'd like to introduce Mary Louise and Dr. Harry Keshet. It's great to have you back again. I feel like you've been here for forever.
Yes, and I love to be here too. You are part of the New You Breakthrough.
Yes.
In which, I'm involved and engaged and committed to this year.
Yes, we all are. In fact, I have to say, since Harry came on board, he said he had a new spin on it. He says it's the not the new you, but the real you. And that's really pretty much about what this show is going to be about, is not necessarily changing, but finding the true you that you can move forward with a lot of personal growth and development that we're bringing to you that has such high value that we've all been working on, from 30 plus years, every one of us. And I'm excited about all of it. Mary Louise is definitely a 9-time world martial arts champion. She is also a biologist, and she's done cancer research and diagnostic. And Harry is a clinical psychologist in personal and business growth and development. So just with the two of those there, it's really going to be a powerful hour. I mean, a real power hour. And then, of course, my partner in crime, not really. My partner always, Grandmaster Dennis Kelly, who is a 6-time world martial arts champion, and he is also a Heart Math Institute peak performance coach, among other things that his bio runs off the charts, off the paper, I will say that. And so what we're going to do is go ahead and launch this first part of the hour on Heart Math Institute. Now, for those of you that have watched our shows, you know we shamelessly talk about Heart Math because it is our skill sets that has allowed us to pull ourselves through any crisis, any experience that we need to go to our heart to empower ourselves. You're going to learn a lot in this hour, even more so, because we've combined everything. We're all on the same page. We're all in the same mindset, mind, body, spirit, and everything that we share with you is based on professional research and documentation, and in some cases, medical documentation. So we're not here to make any kind of claims to treat or diagnose any illness whatsoever. We're here to offer you alternatives. What I'm going to do right now is introduce our first little video that is going to give each and every one of you for free training that you can tuck under your shoulders and have with you all the time to watch, print out PDFs. Last year, in the beginning of 2020, I tested some of this on my grandson and became licensed with Heart Math to teach children in large groups. That's how passionate I am about this. But you're going to see the connection in how we all engage with one another and back each other with all this science, so you can believe what we're telling you and you can do some of your own research. So let's take a look at this video, and then when we come back, we're going to do some little exercises, including our 1-minute stress management for you, guaranteed to work. We'll be right back.
Can you hear me? Can you feel me? This is a story about your life and about new ways to see that we are all connected.
Just like electricity changed the outer world, heart's going to change the inner world.
We can take charge of how we feel more than we may think.
It allows me to be present, centered, and focused. just find that deeper place in myself where I can feel that sense of love.
And as more people come together, it's going to draw in a whole new awareness.
But the heart really is an access point to our larger self that can bring in that intelligence of another dimension. So now we're starting to have a scientific understanding that these higher quality emotions that people have always associated with the heart really do affect the way the heart beats and the quality of the neural signals being sent to the brain, which it then interprets.
Heart and brain are in constant communication. The heart is doing most of the talking. Let's do an exercise now to get a better sense of how you're experiencing emotions that renew or drain you.
Okay. I'd like you to think of a specific situation that you feel has been difficult to solve these past few days.
In this experience, through learning simple techniques, seeing real-life examples, and hearing from experts and others, you will have the opportunity to experience your heart's intelligence and how it can help you, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You'll see how you can connect with your heart in practical ways to reduce the stress of daily life, meet challenges with more ease, and become more of who you truly are.
You'll learn to listen to and follow the magnificent intuitive presence of your heart.
It's heart time on the planet.
There you have it, and feel free to go ahead and tap into that, and if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to get a hold of either my husband or myself, and we can help you. We're both licensed through HeartMath Experience, and we're just so proud and honored to be able to have the professionals in our lives that have helped us live a very empowered and mastered life of fulfillment, even in the times of crisis, health issues, and so much more, including financial craziness. So I just want to turn to my husband and say one of the things that has helped me my whole life, that began the major change, was when we first met. You were in the process of writing your book, The 6 Steps to the Fountain of Youth, and you shared with me, because we were about to go out on the circuit and do some seminars together, and you told me that 5 minutes of an angry thought, whether it's from lack of forgiveness, if it was anger, or whatever it is that somebody's feeling in their lifetime, can put between, 6 and 8 hours of bad chemicals.
One angry thought held for 5 minutes or more can lower your immune system, your IgA level, from 6 to 8 hours. It could be a thought of revenge, it could be a thought of jealousy, but holding that thought for 5 minutes is deadly over a period of time.
And it affects, like you say, the immune system. So if we stop to think about how many 5 minutes of an angry thought, or somebody cuts us off in traffic, or somebody owes you money and they haven't paid you, or any little thing or big thing, and you add that over time, how many 5 minutes of an angry thought or 1 minute of angry thought is affecting our immune system? And today, more than ever, we need to be building our immune system with anything and everything we can. As many of you know, we're on a very high-powered hero product of a supplement program, but even above and beyond that, for all of us, we must help ourselves from the inside out, and we're here to bring information that maybe you may not know of, like HeartMath Institute, and how 1 minute of a special exercise can help transform and transfer you into a joyful state of bliss through the love connection. Is that right?
That's correct.
I've been doing my studies.
You got 2 minutes to replace it with thoughts like that. You can't change the thought, but you can replace the thought.
Okay.
And it really works, especially after you've practiced this for a number of days or weeks. It becomes a subconscious benefit.
Okay, so when you taught me this, where you became certified back in 1997, that was quite a few years ago, and that was one of the first things that he tested on me, because I was working at the Home Shopping Network overnights, and trying to sleep in the early evening and then doing some part-time caregiving for my mom. Needless to say, being on camera in the middle of the night in my mid-40s and all this was a lot of stress. And my husband taught me that and taught me how to diffuse that and how to move forward by replacing whatever it was that was bothering me. And it doesn't matter. There's things bothering all of us. Or maybe there's some of you that you don't, maybe you're already there. Maybe you've far surpassed where we are in our life experience. But for those that aren't, listen up closer. Because what happened when my husband went to HeartMath Institute in Boulder, California to get certified as a peak performance coach, he went through so much in studies and testing. I want you to share a little bit so that everyone understands why this works. Why this works through the system in a mind, body, spirit when you have the heart and the brain and the gut. All three connected. 1, 2, 3. They are all connected. I'm going to turn that over to you because you're the pro and you were there being tested with some of the movies that they showed to show that the heart actually responds quicker than the brain.
Well, what they found out through a lot of research is that the heart has some of the same crystallized cells that are in the brain, and they communicate. The heart talks to the brain talks to the heart, then it goes to the gut, which there's over 100 million neurons in our solar plexus, more so than in the spinal column. And these three communicate. And I always say, you telephone God, when you pray to God, and when He calls you back, that's, you get the feeling in the diaphragm, in the stomach area. You get that feeling from God, that's Him returning the phone call.
I love it when you say that. And so with the science that was done on that, and you learned through those videos that you watched, they actually showed you how the heart responded before the brain. That's why we say living a heart-empowered life empowers you. I had a little bit of a challenge at first. I couldn't figure out, was it my head making the decision or was it my heart? But I found out real fast because those head decisions, they didn't work well and won't work well for anyone today. If you know the HeartMath experience, if you know the science behind that and you think about it, I mean, I did some research over the weekend, additional research, and found some of the studies that were done, and I'll put this in a blog or somewhere to get that to you, but you may get it also by doing a little more research with HeartMath Institute, where they did studies on participants, where they did exercises through people that would pray and the people that were not praying. And they had them try to change a light beam coming to them. And the people that were praying, they were on a test exam of some sort, electronic test to see what is happening in the front part of the brain. And the people that were praying actually showed more activity, more positive activity. Does that make sense? Does that sound familiar to what you went through?
Yeah, but the biggest, I should say the most amazing research that they did, and a lot of people don't know about it, is they had a screen, it's about the size of a small movie screen, and they hooked people up with all the bioelectrical apparatuses that are possible, and the object was to see if the brain would react first quicker than the heart, or the heart would act first when there was a shift of scenery, you might say, like a tragic thing or a beautiful thing. And what happened next was the most amazing scientific discovery, and very few people know about it. When they were ready to show the heart a tragic accident on the screen, they hooked up all the people sitting there as the witnesses to this. That what happened was an astounding thing. For a split nanosecond, the heart showed up before they even showed the picture on the screen.
That's crazy.
And that, to me, is amazing. It shows that we have a premonition from the heart. And there's so many different studies in that. It would take me a couple of hours to do a seminar on all this interactivity of the brain and the heart. But however, it is now proven documentation that the brain is secondary to the heart. And this is, to me, like I say, gives you a little edge. That's why when we're fighting in the ring, there's a little bit of that, call it inclusion, that you know what the partner's going to do a split second before he does it or she does it. And the key is how much repetition of that did you do. By knowing that and by practicing that, thinking ahead of the schedule, just like when I was in the ring. Most of the time it worked, sometimes it didn't, because it depended upon my psychological profile that day. But the key thing is I would know when he's going to do a roundhouse. I wouldn't know my conscious, my subconscious would act so fast that it would hit and contact my partner about the same time that I knew what he threw.
See, that, and I was there several times watching you do that, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. So maybe we'll hear a similar story from Mary Louise coming up in just a little bit. But before we scoot on and bring Mary Louise out, can we do a heart lock-in? Can we do our 60-minute freeze frame, which is heart math induced, I should say, and we actually sold this program out in less than 5 minutes on the Home Shopping Network. It's a true story. Along with my husband's Tai Chi videos, we sold them all out. In 1 minute, how can we convince somebody that that can change and raise our frequency level? What is it that we think about? What is it that we meditate and pray on, or whatever we do to feel good about ourselves?
What they call it is freeze framing. And to freeze frame, you have to know what you're going to need to do, of course, by putting your attention there. And it's actually a 6-step process. They had 5 steps to it, and I called the main office and have them change it to 6 steps. And there's a reason for that. So 1-minute stress management is taught in the service, it's taught in every walk of life to different types of individuals, and it's very effective. The first step is to aware that you have a stressful situation. And that's not hard to do. You know if you're stressed or not. So if you have a stressful situation, then you push the pause button, just like pause button on a TV station. All right? Then after you push the pause button, go into your heart and find a time in your life that was very special. When you think about that time, think about how you feel. Because it's interesting, the chemical composition in a tear is different than the chemical composition in anger. Like I mentioned, from a tear from anger, a tear from relaxation. Now, what you do on a 3rd step, like I mentioned, you take and you think about that wonderful place that makes you feel good when you think about it. It could be something happened to you when you were young, a teenager. The further you go back, the better, because then you're putting and releasing hormones that were released back then that you're not releasing anymore. That came from Deepak Chopra, by the way. So then number 4, see if it's working or not. And number 5, then change the approach. And it is so accurate after practicing this for a while. Just like if you think of a dove sitting on a fence post, you can't change it into a dove or into a pigeon, so to speak. What you have to do is you have to realize that you can replace it, but you can't change it. So you're replacing a negative thought with a positive thought. Mm-hmm. That's the important thing. You're replacing a positive thought, and have several of them so that when you feel that negative, remember you got 2 minutes to change that thought and replace it with a beautiful thought.
And then you give it that, you can give it a minute, take a little longer if you need to. I know for me, when I have to go to that place in time, I think about my husband, I think about my children when they were born, I think of my Yorkies, and I think of the joy and appreciation and the faith in our Heavenly Father, and I can raise that frequency level so quick, but it wasn't always that quick in the beginning. But if you try this 1 minute management of your stress and your emotions, it will stay with you, and you will be able to call on it in less than a snap of a finger. And that is the truth, isn't it, hon?
Absolutely. And there's one more thing I want to mention about that, and I had for a minute a senior moment.
Well, we're going to come back to you because I want to make sure you keep that thought, and it'll come back when we come to the end here. We'll show that video again, but I also want to introduce Mary Louise Zeller. Let me tell you that this gal has overcome so many different things in her life experience. 9-time world martial arts champion, and she has been a biologist for 25 years and into cancer diagnostic and so much more. more and is in the head of her company after 12 years, really has climbed to the top, but it hasn't always been easy for her. So let's check in with this wonderful mama bear of business and personal and see what some of her secrets are. Hey there, you got the red memo.
You know what? No, I didn't. This was totally, synchronicity.
Instinctive, right?
No, secrets. Man, life is hard and it's great. It's all of it. So, as you know, we've been deeply impacted by violence and violation of everything we hold dear. And these visual images that keep coming to us through the television, do we want to keep up with the news? Yeah. But this constant impact of the violence is, right now I'm tempering it. So I'm just checking in now and then to see if there are any new, happenings going on that I should know about.
Right.
But when you look at we talk about new you breakthrough, real you breakthrough, what is the axis? Imaging. These images that impact us, either for the negative or the positive. When I was world-class athlete, one of the things I did, I had visual imaging coach. Can you imagine?
Wow.
And I did like an hour a day. So I imagined practice of my technique and forms, not just doing it physically, and I did do that too. You can't do imaging instead of that. But there's something about seeing yourself doing it perfectly that then when you do it physically, you've advanced. And that's why they do it. It's powerful and it works. So, a new you breakthrough. To be a new you, we have to break through. When there are breakdowns, what do you do with them? You look to see what's the breakthrough. My husband taught me that. He was a personal and business development coach and creating extraordinary accomplishments. So I had that advantage in life too. And anytime there would be a big problem come up, what we'll call a breakdown, he'd say, well, what is the breakthrough? Well, we want to just kind of focus on the breakdown, and we just keep seeing all the images of the breakdown. Well, yeah, we need to know what's going on so we can evaluate. But then you start to look for, okay, what is the breakthrough? What is the solution? Who is the solution? Well, in my world, I'm the solution. If there's chaos, what can I do? Well, I can create order. I can create order all around me. If there's breakdown, I can create new beginnings. I can, one of the things that's part of my new order this year, because I'm committed to a new you, real you breakthrough, is that I'm seeing, just given who I am and my own personal dynamics, I'm going to produce, I'm going to accomplish. But focused, now that's more powerful. And recognizing from whence cometh my power. Let's talk about that one first. Where does our power exist? Where does the past exist? Well, I say the past only exists in our word. In speaking, how I talk about the past, how I judged it, how I believed whatever happened. There's just what happened, but then there's all the stuff I made up about what does it mean about life, what does it mean about me, what does it mean about them, like that. And that can just be a vicious circle, and where you're just going round and round, and all of us tend to do that. Now, is there value in looking to see what is the breakdown and evaluating? Yes. But then I would say move right into creation. So the source of creation is the power of your word. Like if, regardless of your religious affiliation or what you think spiritually, there's a certain power in our word. In the Christian Bible, we're taught in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. And the Word created heaven and earth. And when we're told we're made in God's image. So what's our genetic connection to God? I say it's our word. Now, if you want power of your word, you have to keep your word. You have to be honest. And sometimes we break our word. Well, what do you do to rehabilitate it? Well, you acknowledge it, oh, I said I would do this, I didn't do that. If there's anything I can do to make amends, if it harmed you in any way, me not keeping my word, let me make that up to you. And I promise you that I'm going to do what it takes to make sure that I can keep my word with you in the future. Now, we're always going to break down because we're human beings. We're going to make mistakes. But anyways, the access to the power of your word is integrity. Without integrity, nothing works. Without integrity, nothing lasts. And without integrity, you have no power to create. So if you work as much as you can to honestly look at yourself, I keep an integrity checklist. Things that I need to correct. Things that I need to correct about what others have done with me. Like that. And, you know, if you keep that in front of you and work on your integrity checklist. And then always come from who I am is honest, is integrity. That's who I am. Then just like an airplane that leaves Los Angeles and gets to New York, it's going to vary off that course many times, but it corrects. That's what we do in life. So I would say, what I'm doing right now to create order is creating not just yearly goals or look out 5 years. I'm looking day by day. I think what we need right now is day by day. And I'm literally creating goals that make a difference, not just in my own life, but that makes life better for others. Creating more opportunity. When people are losing opportunity, I'm going to get out there and create opportunity. I'm going to do my best. And I'm going to schedule my day. I schedule my day for my spiritual study first, and then my exercise, and then my music and my work, and what do I need to accomplish. And I first write down, what do I want to accomplish today? What needs to get done? What's the most important thing? And then I prioritize. And I work on that first. We tend to put the hardest things off till last and think about it all day, and we get to the end of the day, we didn't do it. Almost feels like you did it, you thought about it so much. I do that with my music or my exercise. But you create a structure of support. You know, I meet every day with my business group we call Recruit Group. And we're out there generating new materials. We're out there generating new ideas and ways to create more business. So all of these things I put down and create order in my day. Gandhi says you want to be the change you want to see. So if there's disorder, I'm going to create order. If there's breakdown, I'm going to look for the breakthrough. I'm going to create goodness. I'm going to be good, and I'm going to do good in life. That is my mantra this year, be good, do good. And I have to acknowledge Dr. Harry Keshet, who has now become a good personal friend and working with us in business too, bringing all of his life experience. It's so great to have good people who want to do good come together. And he said to me, he says, like all that negative visual impact we're having, he said, sit quietly. And I set my alarm on my phone. He said 12 minutes. I don't know why 12 minutes, but I do 12 minutes because my coach said do 12 minutes. I'm doing 12 minutes and start envisioning, just visualize what you want to see in this world. Every aspect of life, from your business to your family to your love life to your personal development, how your body looks and feels. Just visualize everything. I'm not aging like the normal person out there. I'm 77 years old. I don't think like one. It's just a number to me, really. I'm engaged in life, generating and creating good things in life. And that's what I'm going to be visualizing. So, we have to generate a new way of being if we want to have a new you, real you, breakthrough. The past doesn't exist. It does not define you. You define you right now. You create a future right now. And I say, I'm going to take my power to do that. And I'm going to create a brilliant new future. I'm going to create peace, prosperity, abundance, people thriving, people coming together, working together. Like that. So I am seeing it, doing it, and realizing it.
And you really are seeing it and believing it. And I have to tell you, Mary Louise, it's an honor to be on your calls every day. And just to let you know how this gal walks her walk, she's turning in 1 out of 5 meetings into personal growth and development on Wednesday. Every single Wednesday, we're going to lead with relationship building. We're going to be talking about getting you out of your emotional prison with different techniques that we're doing. And I agree with you, Mary Louise. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have Harry Keshet involved here to really add that final touch with validation and backed by science, because he really helped us out last week in coaching us on one of our calls. That night, as I told you, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I just felt so much of a renewed you in just that area. And I was able to do so many different things that day, and I really feel that this is going to help everyone, and I believe you with all my heart. I know my husband does as well, as far as making a difference as you have in our lives and the lives of others. We will create peace. We will create our new beginnings now, right here and now, and I'm with you on one day at a time. Business owners are looking at different ways of doing business, and a lot of it, especially today, is coming right down to personal growth and development and what we can do to be that change. And that's one reason why we, along with WeBeam TV, are able to use this platform worldwide. So with that being said, thank you. That was so beautiful, Mary Louise. I just love that. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and also thank you for bringing Harry into our group, and he's going to come out and be just as powerful as you. And so without further ado, we're talking about a professional clinical psychologist in personal and in business. And it's with great pleasure that we can introduce Harry Keshet. I call him Uncle Harry because I always give everybody a nickname, and that's just how you struck me, because you're so personable and loving and caring and spiritual. Welcome onto the show again.
Well, it's very wonderful to be here. And I take you calling me uncle an invitation to be my niece.
Yes.
So I love it.
Okay.
So,
well,
I want to talk a little bit about what Grandmaster and Barbara were talking about in terms of having a good experience. And there's a lot of research around the brain, on the brain. And the brain and our developmental throughout the development of humankind, the brain is biased to protect us. So when we were in ancient times, in jungles and times of animals all around us and easily being hurt, the brain was very, very adaptive by telling us and showing us danger. And developmentally, over centuries, our brain has developed continuously to be on alert for danger. And I remember talking to a person who came to see me for clinical work, and they were very upset about a negative evaluation in their job. I said, well, when did that happen? Oh, 10 years ago. I remember they said bad things about me. And I said, well, did they ever say anything good about you? Oh, yeah, they said some things, but I remember the bad. So that is a bias in the brain. We do remember what's bad. Now, it's not the whole story, because as Grandmaster mentioned and Barbara mentioned, the heart plays a big role. The heart is filled with more joyous things. In the human heart, we can remember and experience joy, independent of what we do. There is joy. There is happiness in our heart. So if we follow what Grandmaster is saying, when you're upset, you can focus on something positive. And that something positive, if you focus on it enough, now I would add, you have to intensify the feeling. So you focus on the memory and there's some positive memory, you intensify it and you pay attention to it. And within 1 or 2 minutes, that will change your negative experience.
And that is so true. That's so true. And Harry, what I would love for you to share with our audience today, too, thank you for that. Last week, we did an exercise with you, and I know Master Kelly has been studying the science of the brain and how you can grow new pathways, but it's always a delight to hear somebody else validate that you can actually grow new pathways. Now, for those that may not have heard of that or don't believe it if they did, can you just go into a little bit of the science on how that works and maybe do maybe 5 minutes of what we did last week?
Oh, sure.
Good.
So, the brain does not distinguish between actual experience and a memory or a imagery. When you imagine something, the brain reacts as if you were doing it, but you're just thinking about it, or you're just imagining it in your mind. So using imagination can change and grow pathways in your brain to support positives that are found in the heart. So what you can do is imagine, just simply find a quiet place, could be in your bedroom, lie down, or sitting in a chair, and imagine something that you want to experience. Let's say you want to feel more generous, you want to be able to have more generosity. So you imagine yourself, or you think it. Some people can imagine in images. Some people have a harder time and they just think about it. But thinking about it is fine. Think about being generous. And then think that you already are generous. It's not something you're going to get in the future. But imagine that you already have it now. And as you imagine that, experience the feeling of being generous, that you are generous. And as you experience the feeling of generosity, it opens the heart. The heart opens, and you begin to imbibe it. And if you do that exercise for 12 minutes a day, for 25 days, you will become what you wish to achieve.
As they say, what you think about, you bring about, Harry. Now, you are also a business clinician, and you work with business owners to achieve their successes as well. So personal growth and development isn't just personal growth, but when you have that, it just spreads out into your business, right?
It does. And, it's important in business, you're dealing with concrete issues. So I deal with concrete issues, but I empower the client that I'm working with to use some of the solutions that I come up with and they come up with, and then implement them. But it takes a good deal of changing negativity to seeing the possible strength in changing and getting what you need in business. So it works there also, significantly.
So what you're saying, if I understand you correctly, which I believe it because it worked for me in a very short amount of time, that when you do think about what is on your heart, possibly if you have a business that you are struggling with right now, especially with what everybody on the planet has dealt with in this last 10 months, and they really don't have this kind of training or knowledge or background of the science of what happens with the brain, and to have somebody you've had 30 plus years experience with personal and business coaching and training, How is that? How that must make you feel unbelievably successful when you can see how you can do 12-minute meditation or prayer or both, a combination, to where they can change the results of their business or their personal lives with relationships.
Well, in business, you're dealing with concrete issues that are not just mental, or emotional. They're real issues in business. Yes. So what I do is I get all the information, then I have a program called predictive analytics, and then I can decide with all that information. It's like using artificial intelligence. Then you have solutions. And then really where the work comes from is working with the client to look at the solutions that I'm coming up with, discuss them with me, decide what to do, and then I support them to do it. So it's a little different because you have to deal not with the internal part of the person, but the reality of what the business issues are.
Right.
So I do both.
And do you find that when they do have those concrete issues in business, that it affects them emotionally?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to understand about emotions. Emotions tell you what's important to you. So if you are working on a hard business problem and you have some emotional reaction, if it's not a positive emotion, it will interfere with your thinking.
That's exactly what I was looking to hear. Hence, being able to manage your emotions will help you stay above the curve, over the curve, so that you can make better decisions and understand where you need to be going, which I'm guessing this little 1 minute exercise with teaching people to get into that state of love, because love is such a high emotion. Would you say that you can help yourself between that and your 5 minutes of meditation? I think it's a 1-2 punch for people.
So, I want to add something to what you're saying, Barbara.
Okay.
There is a time lag between when you feel an emotion and when you express it. So if you can be aware of the time lag, then you can use your method easily, because you don't have to, just because you're upset, you don't have to be yelling and screaming.
No.
There is a space, and in that space, you can apply the heart method you just taught.
Now, go ahead.
No, that's all right.
I was going to say, do you find that every person has a different time there before they can go into that? In other words, one person, it may take just 30 seconds and they know they need to calm down, or maybe another person, maybe 2 minutes?
Well, most people are not aware that there is a choice.
Yeah.
That the time lag gives you a choice of whether you're going to express it or whether you're going to turn in and find goodness inside of you. Most of us don't know there is the time lag.
Yeah.
And as soon as we learn that there's a time lag, we gain power over our emotions.
Thank you. Thank you. That you answered my question very well. That's so exciting to have you on the show here, Harry, and I look forward to picking your brain, so to speak, even more. How about you, Master Kelly?
I agree with you. There's so much to learn, and Harry does such a magnificent job of not only transferring it, but you can tell by he feels what he's saying.
That's right.
So he's in that timeline that's good.
Yeah.
That's productive.
It's interesting because I have found that just as of late, it's been building up. We all see friends, neighbors, relatives, family going through craziness with the pandemic and all. That was the first time I said the word, and I wasn't going to say it, but I had to, because it has affected everyone. And thankfully for the skill sets that we've been using for the last 20 plus years has helped. This was a whole new animal for everyone. So even in personal growth and development, I personally, speaking for myself, have found myself kicking back, stepping back, but I didn't know what to call it. And you just gave it a name, a time lag, where it's almost like, you know how people will say, well, count to 10 before you lose your temper or whatever. That to me is the time lag where I stop and I go to my heart and I go, now look, you have two choices to decide. How do you want to perceive this situation? How do you want to create peace, harmony, and love in this situation so it doesn't escalate to something else? Because I have to go on here and do a show, or I need to do a talk with someone. I need to get myself, my being, my presence to where I am, my frequency is at a level where I can communicate and operate. And it is taking me, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 seconds. And it is it's a different thing that I've added to already our skill set. So I think it's fabulous that you're able to put a different spin or even a new spin. We're all learning and growing from one another. Mary Louise could not have said what she said any better if she scripted it out. And I know she didn't script it out, because Mary Louise, like the rest of us, don't fly by the seat of our pants, but we all live from the heart. And when you live from the heart, it comes out naturally. The passion flows with honesty. And like Mary Louise, you said, integrity. We all have to have that integrity before any of us are going to be successful in relationships. And sometimes even in relationships, we may have the integrity, but the other person is going down a different path. We get that, as you very well know. And for all of us to really collaborate, this has been a dream come true to be able to have. There's only 4 of us, but I believe in my heart of hearts that we all are a powerhouse of knowledge that cross over into everyone's lives, and that you, Mary Louise, are able to give all of us a whole hour, at least once a week on Wednesdays, to share this with the world, and we are going to do it. We are going to bring peace, harmony, love, and understanding with human synergy, because that is the way we can do our part, one heart at a time, to change the world in a positive way. And honestly, I thank you for all of this. And then our platform here, we're very grateful. We've been doing these shows now for going on 7 years. God bless you, Harry. And we're blessed to be able to get this knowledge out there. And when somebody calls us or sees us somewhere and recognizes us, that I'm really getting things from your show, or Master Kelly's book, The 6 Steps to the Fountain of Youth, or whatever it is, that we know we're making an impact. But we, Master Kelly and I, can't do it on our own. We need people. As the song goes, people need people. And so you're all part of that. We're very, very grateful. So I'm just going to go around. We have about 8 minutes or so, and I'm going to save just a couple of minutes on the little video on the HeartMath experience that we want to send out there. But I also wanted to let everyone know that you can get a hold of Harry or Mary, sounds like a little rhyme there, if you want to have any more information from them, or you can private message any one of us. We are all on Facebook, and we can give you the link to our Zoom call, and you'll be able to tune in on Wednesday. Everyone is invited. We hope that I don't want to say crash the network, but we want to get these messages out there. So everyone's invited, and I'm excited about that. Let's go ahead and start with you there, Master Kelly. What do you have as we close out our show?
Well, I want to close out the talk about the 1-minute stress management, so thanks for giving me the time.
All right.
Because now I get to the real important part. How do you really make it work as good as it can work? In other words, to get the maximum benefit out of it. The key is you'd have trouble remembering something if you didn't have something physical. In other words, you can really think better if you have some stimulation. For example, this little rubber band that I used to wear around my wrist, I don't need it anymore. It can save your life. That rubber band can save a lot of heartbreaks. what you do is wear the rubber band, and every time you have a negative thought, anger, or whatever, you pop the rubber band so that you have a physical feeling there, so it'll switch your right brain to the left brain to more logical. And then at that point, you've got 2 minutes or 5 minutes to have a beautiful thought. Actually, it should be 2 minutes to have a beautiful, beautiful, caring, loving thought. And you do that for 7 days. If you can do that for 7 days. Let me rephrase that. In other words, after you pop the rubber band, you got 2 minutes to replace it with a caring, loving thought, and then you want to try to make 7 days. If you don't, without going off of that program, without going past the 2 minutes, all right, then at the end of the 7 days, then you establish the fact of, do I need to do this more, or do I need to do it less? So all you do is pop the rubber band. You have that 2 minutes replaced with a caring, loving thought. If you, and that 7 days, if you forget to pop the rubber band, you go past that 2 minutes, you got to start all over from day one.
There you go. And boy, that is not easy. Just when I got to the 6th day, I lost it. Mary Louise, how about you? Can you give us about 60 seconds or so of a little something?
I'm sure if I take Grandmaster's advice, I'm going to have a very sore wrist. So I'm going to suffer. Barbara, you demonstrated something that I was going to say to close out anyway, is that you matter. I matter. We matter. Mm-hmm. We can make a difference. I know we all have challenges. We all have doubts about ourselves. We never think we're enough. And that's where you should pop your wrist. Because it's not true. What makes a difference is you taking action. Look, you guys being here, you creating this forum, that we can come together, we can think about it, we can make a difference, we can all advance together. I just got an email about a self-development course. It wasn't too expensive, and it listed a lot of things I wanted to work on, and I thought, well, why not? You know, so we continually take action. We come together. Together, we're so much more. Alone, we're going to sink into that stuff, no matter how big the rubber band is on our wrist. But together, and a coach. You know, Harry's been my coach, and I can be his, and Barbara, you're mine, and I can be yours, and Grandmaster, the same thing. So we need each other in this, and keep creating great things.
Thank you so much.
Everything.
It is so
it's
true.
It's up to us. We make the difference.
Exactly. Thank you. That's beautiful. Harry, real quickly, so I can get to our closing, just give me a one-liner. Let's see. What do you have? I know that's hard, right?
Have faith in yourself. No matter what you've gone through in your life, there is goodness in you. And if you remember Grandmaster's idea of focusing on the good, it will change your life.
Oh, thank you. That is so very true. You guys are so awesome. And we're going to see you at 4 o'clock today as well. So, I mean, this has been such a great show. Thank you, Harry and Mary, for coming on. And they will be back with us again. But in the meantime, please get a hold of us. We will have the link for you for our Wednesday, this Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, when you can get on Zoom, and it's easy to do. We'll all be there. And I know it's going to be very rewarding for you. And speak of rewards, the Heart Math Experience is definitely a reward, and it's free. All you have to do is click on the link, log in, and you will get, I think it's either 7 or 8, 9 PDFs and the matching videos to it. And I'll tell you, it can be a life changer for you and really raise you up even a little bit quicker. So let's go ahead and go to that, Rob. And if we have time, we'll come back and say goodbye. Otherwise, we'll see you next Monday. Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you feel me? This is a story about your life and about new ways to see that we are all connected.
Just like electricity changed the outer world, heart's going to change the inner world.
We can take charge of how we feel more than we may think.
It allows me to be present, centered, and focused.
I just find that deeper place in myself where I can feel that sense of love.
And as more people come together, it's going to draw in a whole new awareness.
But the heart really is an access point to our larger self that can bring in that intelligence of another dimension. So now we're starting to have a scientific understanding that these higher quality emotions that people have always associated with the heart really do affect the way the heart beats and the quality of the neural signals being sent to the brain, which it then interprets.
Heart and brain are in constant communication. The heart is doing most of the talking. Let's do an exercise now to get a better sense of how you're experiencing emotions that renew or drain you.
Okay. I'd like you to think of a specific situation that you feel has been difficult to solve these past few days.
In this experience, through learning simple techniques, seeing real-life examples, and hearing from experts and others, you will have the opportunity to experience your heart's intelligence and how it can help you physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You'll see how you can connect with your heart in practical ways to reduce the stress of daily life, meet challenges with more ease, and become more of who you truly are.
You'll learn to listen to and follow the magnificent intuitive presence of your heart.
It's heart time on the planet.